interesting, subtle point that both of you have been touching upon that may be worth making explicit, which is that I think a lot of people, when they first see NFTs, their reaction is, well, I can just right click and save that JPEG. Why does this thing have value? And, hopefully people who look into NFTs move past that pretty quickly, but you're both given examples of how these things have value that you can't just right click and save as. The simplest one is just, yes, I can also photocopy any piece of art. Doesn't mean that I have the actual art. There's still provenance, there's still a linkage, there's still authenticity to the art itself. And the simplest way to see that is, for example, the Bored Ape Yacht Club, let's say we're building a metaverse. We're building like a 3D virtual space. And hopefully it's not Zuck. Hopefully it's some crypto emergent thing on blockchains that we're all using that's open. Well, if I walk into two rooms, one room has the authentic Bored Ape Yacht Club and it's got the actual nice photos of the apes or the crypto punks or whatever hanging on the walls. And my software tells me that. And then I walk into a different room, which has all fakes and copies. And my software immediately tells me, now you're in the fake one. Where do you think the cool kids are going to hang out? Where are the rich kids going to hang out? Where are the parties going to take place? So all of a sudden, having NFTs and this authentication gives spaces actual value. And so it allows you to create a metaverse, which then has a distinction between space A and space B. But that's just the simplest level. What you've also given examples of is in a game, an NFT is a smart contract. It's a thing that is usable within the game, and a copy of the NFT is not. If I have a special piece of loot or a special item that I've picked up in one game, and then the developer or the same blockchain or the same group of users went to a second game, and I get to port my NFT over, well, that authentic NFT is going to have some value, whereas a right-click save JPEG version is not going to have any value. And then finally, Tim, you gave the example of an NFT can also be a social contract between the creator of the NFT and the fans of the NFT, so that it acts as a ticket for access to future rights, and a fake one is not going to get you that. Or it gives you access to future pieces by the artist first, and so on and so forth. And I love Chris' example of it being a web page, because a web page is programmable. A web page can do anything. It's Turing complete. It can run any piece of code. And so we have these essentially Turing complete programmable objects that are now suddenly scarce, that you can own and that you can transfer and you can link to the real world, and you can link them to the digital world through smart contracts. You can link them to the real world through social contracts. By the way, Bitcoin is only linked to the real world through social contracts. I know that's going to be a controversial thing to say, but essentially it's a social contract between the community of Bitcoiners to accept Bitcoin, to accept that as a canonical ledger. So the same way among the Bored Ape community or among the CryptoPunk community or whatever, the toads or the frogs or whoever they are, whichever community, there is a social contract to accept these as the canonical avatars. So essentially what blockchains do is they allow open composability and programmability between all these objects in the digital domain, and there's those smart contracts that regulate those, and then social contracts that regulate it in the outside world. And an NFT is no different. If Bitcoin can have value, if Ethereum can have value, then in theory an NFT can have value, as long as the smart contracts and the social contracts and the community enforcing it have value. Of course, that means most of them aren't, but some of them will.